Hey, hi, hello. I honestly don't even know how to start this out. I know most people start out by saying, uh, it all started when I was born, and I know for some people that is true, and I know for me, I guess it kind of is true, but I'm just not going to start it out like that. So give me a minute while I figure it out. But anyways, hi. I'm going to give my testimony, my wild testimony. um, Honestly, thinking back, thinking on it initially, I didn't think it was anything. Period. But as I go through the memories in my head, I really start to the dots start to connect, and I start to realize, yeah, it was it was a thing. It was a thing. So where do I start? Um, I guess let's start when I was little. So growing up, I grew up, as most of these start. I grew up going to church every single day until I was 12, and then I decided that I didn't want to go to church anymore. But be that as it may, I grew up in the church. I grew up loving it. I grew up, believing in God. I grew up loving God. It's your typical average Christian story. That's how it starts out, basically. Um, Never really found any problem with it. It was a smaller church. It was actually like a really small church. So that's something that I enjoy, and that's actually something that I look for today whenever I go looking for a place of worship. Um, I found one, thankfully. My long journey, just moving here to Texas, Houston, it's huge. So I'm actually happy that I found somewhere that I could worship at. So um, yeah, but yeah, growing up, pretty normal childhood. And sorry if I get distracted a lot. I have ADHD and I tend to do that. So, but yeah, I guess that really ties into it, doesn't it? But yeah, growing up, I was really shy. I was a really shy kid. I actually remember I went to an elementary school. And then I had to go to another elementary school. Honestly, I don't even remember what happened at my previous elementary school, but all I know is that I didn't like it. But my parents had to put me into a different elementary school. I think it was because I had problems with the other children. But I remember they left me. No, it's because I wanted to go there. But I remember at the one that I had wanted to go, the teacher had left me in the bathroom. So I was just like, Mom, I don't want to be here. Like the class legit, like the teacher legit just left me in the bathroom. Like I was still using the bathroom. The stalls were all taken, so I had to wait. And so, I waited to use the bathroom. I used the bathroom. I came out and everybody was gone. And I was a new student, so I didn't know where my class was. I didn't know where to go. So I ended up going to the principal and telling him, hey, my class just left. I don't know what class I'm in. This is literally my first day here. So it wasn't really a good start. I think I remember leaving that elementary school the year after, or the next year after. So yeah, I moved back to my other elementary school, the one that I was originally at. And I'm sorry if the camera shakes a little bit, but yeah. So I moved back there, and I guess is one of the memories that I have was be. I don't know why I will always remember this, but I remember being presented to the class, and the sheer amount of fear that I felt in that moment was absolutely nuts. The teacher introduced me to the class, I guess again. Think, I don't remember if this was a new class or if this was, I think I remember thinking in my head at the time, why are you introducing me? But be that as it may, yeah, she introduced me to the class. And everybody was like, hi. And I was just standing there like, stone face. Stone face. Imagine this 5-year-old stone face little girl just staring at everybody like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about me, but I only speak when spoken to. And if any of my family or friends end up coming across this, you can probably attest to this, but I only really speak when spoken to. So when that had happened, I was crazy nervous, crazy, I guess the word shy. I found out later in life that I wasn't shy. I had severe, severe social anxiety, social phobia, actually. But be that as it may, yeah, a horribly shy kid. Um, just growing up was pretty difficult to make friends. But yeah, let's get back to that one moment though. So after the teacher introduced me to the class, I sat down next to this one girl, and I will never forget this. She said, "Hi, how are you? What's your name?" And I was like nothing. She was like, "My name's Jane. What's your name?" And I was just like, just staring at her like, and honestly, I don't know what it was. Like I said, just so much fear. I don't know what it was, just the sheer fear of talking to people, like just communicating with them. And I still have it to this day. Just the sheer fear of speaking. So that happened. And so I would go my entire school life like that. I was literally always the kid who was like sitting in the back, who just never really said anything to anybody. I never really talked. I never spoke unless somebody came up to me and spoke to me. They always had to initiate the conversation or else I wouldn't say anything. And most of the time they just didn't, because I just didn't respond to them. Like if somebody were to say anything to me, I would just be like, yeah, yeah, I would say I would keep it like a few words minimum. Like it got so bad. Like my social phobia is so bad that I had to I kept it like 2 sentences. I would say like I did not talk at all. The exception was if you were my friend. I know I had some really awesome patient friends back then. Um, and I spoke to them all the time. When I spoke, you couldn't get me to shut up. So thank goodness I had them, but be that as it may, all throughout my childhood, a shy kid would not talk to anybody. Just keep that in mind. I was not a talker. Not a talker. So, but yeah. So where should I start? Where should I start with religion? Oh yes, church. Grew up in church, like I said, the usual, the usual. I stopped going to church when I was 12. I think my first encounter with just period atheism was when I was cruising through YouTube, and I don't know what I was looking up. I think it was like in my random recommendations. So I'm just looking at videos a 12-year-old or whatever would look at, like a 13 or 12-year-old would be looking at. And I came across this one video. It was talking about why God couldn't exist. And it was like this atheistic video, and I'm over here like, oh, geez. And it had some sort of catchy title, like, don't click on this. Don't click on this if you don't want to know the truth about religion. And I was like, my little, 12, 13-year-old brain was just like, so here I am diving into this. I specifically remember looking at the video and going, oh, I probably shouldn't look at this, because I felt like, because I knew me. I knew that I was like influenced. Like, I'd be influenced by it. So I was just like, maybe not. But then it just pulled me in, like the thumb title, and just the everything was so catchy. So I watched the entire video, and I'll never forget it. I remember typing in the comment section, and I still think about it to this day. The person who made that video, they never would have guessed that the person behind that one that comment in all caps is talking about, what are you talking about? Jesus does exist. How dare you speak about my Lord and Savior like that? He is coming back. I literally said this. Little 12-year-old girl, little 12-year-old or 13-year-old girl saying, you are going to hell. For that video, you are going to hell. 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 So I think I remember saying something crazy like, I'll see you, I'll be up in heaven, but I'm going to look down and you're going to be in hell. So that video hit me some sort of way. I was very upset after watching that video. But then I pondered a little bit more on that video, and I just couldn't get that out of my head. And it's something like a disease, really. I know it's pretty, what's the word? Strange to call it a disease, but it's just, that's what it is. It's like a disease. So it invades your brain. And it got me thinking about my beliefs, what I believe, because I didn't really look at anything like apologetic wise. And I think I remember hearing some things about like people being, apologetics, like just apologetics. And I remember looking at that while I was looking at things pertaining to atheism and thinking that this doesn't make much sense. They weren't and I don't even think that was them presenting it in a way that I could understand. It was something thinking about it, maybe I wasn't old enough to understand, mature in my faith enough to understand. Because, like I said, I was like 12 years old, 13 years old. I mean, just getting out of kids' Bible study. Didn't really have too much of the word under my belt. So yeah, I was looking at all of that and thinking to myself, and it was a slow process, and I was like whenever I would try to pray or whenever I would go to church, I would be like, this is stupid. Like in the back of my head, because in the back of my mind, it really did get to me. And, what's this? Okay. Yeah, in the back of my head, it really did get to me, and I was like, this is stupid. So, I mean, yeah, that's that. And I continued that way for a few years. I stopped going to church, and I think the last time that I did go to church, that's just super embarrassing, and I regret it, to this day. But I remember going and asking my pastor about like passages that were like crazy, like 'cause there was like videos that were like, go ask a pastor this. So I asked my childhood pastor all of this stuff. She answered me. And I thank God that I don't even know if she understood where I was at spiritually at that point, because I definitely didn't let it be known. But I still wondered, wonder to this day, did she know where I was going, if you know what I mean? Like, did she know that I was trying to be like, hey, my faith is kind of waning? She did her best to try and talk to me, but no, she gave me explanations, and it was like gory passages, like, and Jesus said, kill all the babies, bash their heads on rocks, and I was like, what does this mean? And she gave me an explanation. But I don't remember it to this day, and I remember never being convinced, because I would go in my Bible and highlight all of these passages that I thought were wrong or immoral because some guy on YouTube told me to. Some atheist on YouTube told me to. So, yeah. I did that, and that was pretty embarrassing. What else? I mean, yeah, I generally stayed out of church, hung out with people. I let it be known. Oh yeah, I guess I'll get into school. I remember my science teacher. I don't. He was a Christian. He was a Christian man, and I remember. I don't know why he would do this, but he asked our class. He was like, "Do you guys believe in God or something? Do you think God exists?" And my 15. This is when I'm 15 in high school. My 15-year-old self was like, "Of course not." Was no, I wasn't 15. Wait. Yes, I was 15. Wait, was I 15? I don't know. The timeline is getting skewed. Wait, I think I was actually maybe 16. But I was like, of course I don't. How could I ever believe something like that? It's all just fairy tales, myth. You have to be an idiot to believe it. Like, no lie, I literally said that. I told my teacher you'd have to be an idiot to believe that. Like, it's for children. And one of my classmates turns to me, and I thought in my head, I was like, I'm being perfectly reasonable. This is perfectly reasonable. But my classmate turns to me, he's like, did you have to say this? Like, this is dang, this is pretty harsh. And then in my mind, I'm like, no, it's not. It's the truth. So, yeah, that happened, and uh, yeah. Okay. I had to stretch out my legs. So, yeah, legs are kind of cramped. Cramped. But yeah, so I remember that, that whole chain of events. So you could probably see where I was. So, I mean, that's my history. Let's pause it right there. That's my history on atheism. Um, I want to get to, you don't see that, the shadow. Can you see that little shadow there? I don't think it's gonna let me. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna let me fix it. But yeah, that's my history with atheism. I remember I would be listening to, oh, my favorite people when I was an atheist to listen to was this guy. I don't know why I looked up to this man like he was like a god. His name was T.J. Kirk, the amazing atheist. I grew up on him, unfortunately. Um, I remember being like little, like I think 14 at this point, watching Minecraft videos, like what playing Minecraft while listening to his videos. It's something that I enjoyed, not to him, not to him, but it's something that I still enjoy doing with my phone. I'll play like a game on my phone and listen to a sermon. But I remember playing like Minecraft on my phone and listening to him. I remember listening to a whole bunch of, you know, atheist stuff. So yeah, I mean, oh man. And I remember what else? I remember telling my entire friends and my boyfriend at the time. I was like, I am an atheist. Like I was that person who were like mad. Like I was angry at Christians for no good reason because I grew up in a church and I didn't really have a reason to be mad. But yeah, I was that one who would be like, bang, bang, bang. Is that gospel music? I was that type. But yeah, I mean that's my history with that. Now, let's get into my history with being Muslim. I honestly, it was such a short period in time. I remember, I don't even know how I got into it. Like, I remember because I went from Christian to atheist to Muslim to atheist. So let's get into the Muslim part. Muslim was like a small fraction in time. how did it start? Now that I think about it, I can barely remember how it started. I think I remember listening to like a Muslim music video, and I was like, that yep, Islam is the one true religion, uh, over a music video. It was a music video of a bunch, like it was like a music video of, black people praising Allah, and I was like, I'm supposed to be doing that, yes? No, but so I was like, these are my people. I guess I'm supposed to be doing this too. So I ended up doing that, and I bought. Oh, it's so embarrassing to think about, but it's also like a small fragment. All of it is embarrassing, but yeah. I bought a whole bunch of hijabs online and praise my family's heart, bless their heart, bless everybody around me, bless all of their hearts. I started wearing them to school. People talked. I mean, people always talked about me because I was really weird. Not gonna lie, I was very strange. Like even in my standard, I was strange. I was just this weirdo who sat in the back, didn't talk to anybody, only spoke when spoken to. Um, reading comic books, just like looking up like. Eh. And the thing about me was I was never really, people mistaked me for a snob because I guess they thought that I was too good to speak to people. But the truth is, like, I was so desperate for friends. Like, I would be so happy. Like, I cannot tell you the amount of excitement that I had when somebody would come up to me and just start a conversation with me. Like somebody would be like, "Hi," and I'm just like, in my like, they'd say hi, and it like outwards, like I'm on the outside, I'm like, but on the inside, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a human talking to me. I cannot believe this. This is crazy. And I actually found myself because I've just been so isolated lately. I found myself going through that yesterday, and then I told myself, it's time to make new friends. Not make new friends, but make more friends because I all of my friends are in my previous state. But yeah, I was like, it's time to make some friends down here because one of my classmates texted me because I given her my number. She's like, hello, and I'm like, oh my gosh, somebody's talking to me. Hi. Can I rip out my soul and give it to you? I am so lonely. But yeah, back on track. Yeah. So yeah, it was a small fragment in time, and it was over a music video, and I bought some hijabs and I wore them to school. Everybody talked. And I think I came to the realization that this wasn't for me. Was it? My father looked at me crazy, as he would. But yeah, I just what just was not for me. I cannot remember what got me out of it. Unfortunately, I think it was more. I think it was more atheism because they started refuting uh, I had keep in mind I had not even read the Quran. I put it on my to-do list, like, yeah, I'm gonna read the Quran one day. But like when I was a Muslim, I never read the Quran. So what got me out of that was more atheism. So after all that, I decided that you are right, Mr. Atheist. I do not want any part of being a Muslim anymore. So yeah, I stopped that and I continued on being an atheist. Um, and at this time in high school, so okay, so let's just go through the timeline. So we went from Christian to atheist to Muslim to atheist. Now let's go to, oh, I didn't even tell you about my past as a witch. Yes, Wicca. That expanded all out. Like, I should make an entire different thing for that. Like, it's a whole thing and a half. During this transition from each of these religions, I was always like closely knit ever since I was like a little girl, closely knit to like Wicca stuff. I think I remember getting like sort of into it. Like, I thought being a witch was so cool because of the stuff that I saw on TV. Was it Charmed? Like Charmed and stuff. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, reading, like, despite me going to church and being a Christian, like, I guess, like, I wasn't really, I was lukewarm. I was like a 10-year-old kid. But I remember, like, oh yeah, I would cast all these spells. So I started, like, casting spells and stuff. Oh, in middle school, I told everybody that I was a witch. I got reported by so many people accusing me of like doing curses on them when I couldn't care less. But yeah, I got called down to the office because some kids thought I put a curse on them. That's a thing. So yeah, I guess I should really speed this up because it's going almost 30 minutes. But yeah. So let's fast forward. So all throughout that, here and there, in between Muslim atheism, I was also practicing Wicca. So I would still have like a little thing in my heart where it's like, oh, I think for me, Wicca was like in my heart. I kind of like wanted to believe it was true so bad that even like as a like atheist, I was just like, yeah, I guess I'll do some spells and stuff. So yeah. But yeah, so through all that, so now we have Wicca, oh gosh, Wicca, Christian, Wicca, atheist, Muslim, atheist, and yeah, I just continued atheism for that period of time. And in this part of my life, I was getting into some pretty, like, things that I shouldn't have even been gotten into, and I feel like I should have really had more supervision when it came to this. But I got into things that I shouldn't have gotten into, like naughty things that I shouldn't have gotten into, and let's just say that it got so bad. That's something that I don't even want to like talk about, but it got so bad to where I was, doing things that I shouldn't have been doing on the internet and camera for money. Should not have been doing it. And I remember, I specifically remember being so dead desperate. Like, I think I did that when I was so desperate for money. And I turned to that. And I remember one day and this is where I really came to be like strong in my faith. One day after I got done doing that, I remember I got finished with like a show, on like the webcam. I got finished with a show. I'd made my money, and I remember thinking to myself, God, I'm better than this. This is humiliating. This is freaking humiliating. I just degraded myself on the internet. And it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good. And so I remember thinking about, what really got me was thinking about my ancestors, thinking about things that, like, just the people before me, what my family might say, so I stopped doing that for a little bit. No, I stopped doing that completely. I'm sorry, the reason why I said a little bit, because before then, or while I was doing that, I had an Instagram page. I'm going to get it out quickly. I had an Instagram page where I was showing literally every part of my body. And I put a promotion out for no good. Like, I don't even know why I did that. I guess to get more viewers or whatever. And granted it worked. Boy, did it work. I cringe. My hometown found out. My hometown found out. They found the page. My aunt found the page. My aunt found the page. So yeah, there was that. And I remember walking in Walmart, and I don't think I'll ever forget this. There was this one guy who pointed, like he was with his girlfriend, and he pointed, it's like, look, there's that WH, on Instagram. And I remember he called me the word, and I heard him, and I was like, that didn't feel very good. So yeah, just all of that. I didn't even want to be recognized for this in my state. So I ended up I stopped doing that. And yeah, after that, I got closer to God. I got closer to God, and that's where my journey really, really got deeper. After all of that had happened, I remember reevaluating my faith, and I just told myself that I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to degrade myself anymore, and I didn't want people to look at me like that anymore. And I really evaluated my faith. And in that process of reevaluating my faith and slowly coming to it, I remember going on Twitter, and this was the end-all be-all. I remember going on my phone, and keep in mind, despite everything in my life, I was a Republican conservative. So I remember going on my phone, and I'm going on Twitter because, I loved Ben Shapiro. So I go on there, and I see this woman. It was like talking about how she smeared, this is going to get disgusting. Warning. Gross, disgusting nastiness. She smeared period blood all over her face for feminism. And I thought, that really hit me. And usually they don't, usually liberals doing liberal feminist stuff, that didn't really hit me, And it hit me. I was like, that's demonic. That's demonic. That's pretty demonic. So yeah. And I told myself, if those are demons, I know God has to exist. Like, just seeing that. And the Lord works in mysterious ways. He works in mysterious ways. After I saw that, I was like, God has to exist, because that's demons. Like, what can possess you to smear menstrual blood all over your face? Demons. Like, there is no other way that I could explain it. Demons. And so once I came to the realization, that's when I completely did a 180. I turned it around. I went just deep in the Bible, read my Bible and everything. And this was around the time, actually, when my mother had left this earth. So I was distraught because my mother was really my only friend. So as sad as that sounds, but it's the truth. So I did a 180 and became Christian. So yeah, that's it. I guess that's all. It only took me like 30 minutes to get the whole thing out. So yeah. That's it. And I'm gonna go more into depth on like I'm gonna do little. Oh yeah, I guess I should say what I am now. I've been a right now like I've been this for a while. I've been, I guess you could say, Christian for about what 3 years. Actually, Messianic Judaism. Uh, that's always been me. I've always believed in the old food laws and everything, and it's a whole other video. But I've been a Messianic Jew for about, I guess you could say Christian for about three 3 years now, 3 or 4 years. And I know that might sound insincere. You know, you're probably like, well, you hopped from like 500 like religions. Like, are you sure this time? Like, yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, I pray every single day. Um, yeah, I mean, there's no turning back. Like, sometimes in your heart, you feel like you want to harden your heart. And I remember, I think the one thing that really let me know that this was serious is because when my heart was hardened recently, I would say a year ago, my heart was seriously hardened and I found myself like wandering from God. I remember instead, like usually in the past, I would just like say, screw it. Oh, I guess I'm done. But this time I prayed through it all. And, the Lord brought me to where I was supposed to be. So, yeah, that's just it. I guess that's my testimony.